In our last episode, we had Chicago Sig in a photograph with Miss Rodeo America 1973. But in this episode, it gets a little stranger. As you know, Sig Sakowitz was a TV radio personality, not only in Chicago, but a couple times when he moved to Las Vegas, he worked on the local channels in Las Vegas. Now, this story is strange on many different levels. Number one, Sig knew some people who had a lot of juice in Las Vegas, like Morris Schenker here. These were the men who borrowed millions and millions of dollars from the union funds to build the Las Vegas casino. Once you understand that, that's when this story gets a little interesting. Now, I call this the curious case of Tertullian Kamka. You see, the thing is, you've never heard of Tertullian Kamka, or Ted. He died in March of 1966. He was born in 1915. So he died at a relatively early age. His father was from Prussia, and his mother was Polish from Chicago. Now, how does this connect to Chicago's Sig? Well, they were, in fact, very good friends. For all we know, they might have grown up together. But it is not their friendship that makes this story so interesting. No. What makes this story so crucial is it gives us historic insight in how the licensing process went down in the mid-1960s Las Vegas. You see, it was Governor Grant Sawyer who actually implemented the new background checks and the licensing system. So when I read the letter that Sig Sakowitz sent the governor of Nevada, Grant Sawyer, the tone that I read in the letter was striking to me. It was almost as if Sig Sakowitz, the radio TV personality, was dictating terms to the governor of Nevada. It was striking when I read it. Let's go ahead and look at this letter. Here it is to Governor Grant Sawyer. And it says, "Would you believe it? My close friend, Tertullian Kamka, still does not have his license. I thought you were going to take care of that matter. I only hope he is not getting the runaround. Please have your staff check it out. Good health." To me, this sounds a little aggressive in tone. It's almost like Sig is saying, hey, have you heard of Joey? Do you know who Tony is? You know, Tony Accardo back here in Chicago. Well, I would appreciate it if you would straighten this out, Governor. The curious case of Tertullian Kamka. Now, Governor Grant Sawyer, he was the governor of Nevada from 1959 to 1967. Now, the governor was a very straightforward man, and apparently he was a lot smarter than most of the other people in government at the time because he opposed corporations owning the casinos, yes. But he lost that battle to prevent corporations from ownership of the casinos. He lost it, but the thing is, he battled against the corporations. That made him a man well ahead of his time because we would not be in the mess we're in today if they had listened to the governor back then. I mean, now we have a couple casino corporations that own all the casinos. We are literally in one big mess, especially if these corporations go under. But I won't mention the biggest casino bankruptcy in history and the implications of that. That's for another day. Let's go over some of these letters because this is the governor who's writing Sig back, and he says, "Thanks very much for the picture." Well, I must make a note. This letter from the governor was actually almost a year before the previous letter that we saw Sig talking about his friend Tertullian Kamka. So what this tells us is that they had corresponding letters over the years. That's one thing that Sig Sakowicz did. He corresponded by letters to so many people, you wouldn't believe it. And apparently Governor Sawyer was one of the people that he corresponded with on a regular basis. Now this letter, which is to Sig, this comes with a letterhead, James Fox letterhead, and the person writing to Sig is Brian Williams. What connection they have to the governor, I don't know, but it looks like Brian Williams was thanking Sig for showing courtesy to the governor when they had their little interview. Let's see what's on the back of this, because Sig responded to Brian Williams, and he said, "Thank you for your kind note. We played the tape the other evening, and it went into 43 states. I wonder if he heard it." Of course, what Sig is talking about, he wondered if the governor heard the broadcast, because the broadcast went into 43 states. Now, again, I believe this is a curious insight on how the licensing process works in Nevada. Now, apparently, Tertullian Kamka probably died before he was able to get a license to operate a casino or be one of the principal owners. They used to call them straw men. They were not really the owners, but they represented the owners in Chicago. Well, at this point in the story, the only thing I can say is I hope that Tertullian Kamka did not piss off Tough Tony before he was able to even get his license. But that's the mystery. We'll never know. The curious case of Tertullian Kamka and why he was getting the runaround to getting his license from Governor Grant Sawyer. Thank you for stopping in at Hidden Spotlight Treasures, where we're going to try to find you historic photographs and letters.